So, I have two announcements. First, I'm a guy. And second, if you couldn't tell, that's honestly on you. I tried my hardest to make it obvious that I am a guy from the way I would talk, from my demeanor, from the way I would text, whether it was on Discord or on X. It was very obvious I wasn't a girl, and nor was I trying to hide it, right? Now, but seriously, I appreciate everyone who's followed for the pics, whether you came for the UFC bets or because you thought I was some hot girl giving them out. Well, welcome to the truth. Now, my profile picture, it's not AI generated, nor is it from Pinterest. It's literally my girlfriend. Like I asked my girlfriend, "Hey, send me some pics from Miami." I took it, and that picture is literally from Miami. So the pictures are real, but it wasn't, the person behind the account. Now another thing is, I've lied for you guys for a long time. So here's my coming out party. Now at least the good news is the pics were real. I've made my Discord 124 units and 18 bets. I've also gave you guys some crazy. I remember I gave you guys Mario Batista by submission plus 400. I gave you guys Charles Du Bronx by decision plus 1500 odds for free. I gave you guys Farida last week for free. I gave you guys um Usyk over 5.5 rounds for free. I also gave you the Hamza guy over 5.5 for free. Like whether I'm a guy or a girl, I've blessed VIP and the public with free picks. Now you might ask, well, why were you pretending to be a girl? Because again, the entire market was so saturated. The entire market was saturated with a bunch of people posting their picks and predictions, and most of these guys are trash. They don't track their bets. They don't even bet. Like first, it's like one, people don't even track their bets, and they just post random bet MMA or bet tips pages. They don't track their bets because they're unprofitable. Second, people don't place their bets. Third, people who track their bets don't even place those bets, right? They're just scammers. They're literally scammers. Me, what do? I place my bets, I track it, I post my bet. When my bet wins, I post a winning bet. I don't cash out. Like I do everything legit. And I saw a saturated market and I was like, man, what do I do so I could stand out to, grow quickly? And I was like, you know what, let me pretend to be a girl. I pretended to be a girl. I grew. And at this point, it's like I'm kind of limiting myself by being a girl because I want to be able to give you guys every single week. I want to give you guys picks and predictions on every single fight, every single week, on every single fighter. I want to sit down and give you guys a breakdown on every single fight. That's 13 fights, 26 fighters. I want to do that. I want to do that on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, but I can't do it. I can't do it because um, uh, I tried to do it on TikTok. I got my girlfriend at the time to make me those TikTok videos. I'd give her a script, she would read it. She couldn't do it, so I stopped them. But I want to bring more value, right? Sure, I made you guys 124 units and 18 bets. Sure, I've made the public a shit ton of money as well, just by being, right in my public bets. But I want to be able to give you guys breakdowns. I want to be able to give you guys my opinions, right? And to do that, I have to be myself and tell you guys, well, hey, I'm a guy. But again, it's like short intro. I'm a guy. You all knew it. I try to make it as obvious as possible. At least this time now, I'm going to be able to make YouTube videos. I'm going to be able to make videos on Instagram and TikTok. I'm going to be able to explain all my picks and my predictions and my bets. For my people, my VIP who always ask me, hey, could you please make a video on our max bets? Well, at least now, while I'm making those prediction videos, the public's not going to know who my max bet is, but you guys will know who my max bet is, and you guys could just simply go and watch those videos. Oh, this is his max bet. Let me go listen to his explanation as to why this is his max bet. And sometimes I'm just going to make private videos on just the max bet to really get in depth on why that's my max bet, right? So, short intro. I'm a guy. You should have known. If you didn't know, that's on you. Really, please. Like, if you didn't think I was a guy from the way I would text and stuff, because I wasn't hiding it, I wasn't adding the double Y's or the triple Y's and try to be girly. You have to get a reality check. Some of you guys are going to unfollow. Some of you guys are not. Like, at least the smart ones of you guys will be, well, he's a guy. He lied. Well, but at the same time, damn, his picks are good. Damn, his picks are good. So at the end of the day, it's do you want to make money or do you not want to make money? Okay. Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. Now, I do my breakdowns a lot different from other people. Every single time there's a UFC card, I don't go back and I don't look at the records. I don't go off of my memory. Every single time there's a fight card, for example, a fight card with 13 fights, I go back. That's 13 fights, that's 26 fighters. I watch all 26 fighters last four, five, six fights, depending on the person. I watch all of their fights. So you could times that. They're 26 fighters, five of their fights each. Do the math on that. I sit down, I watch all their interviews. So it takes a lot of time. And I know a lot of people, they DM me, they ask, "Oh, how do you, decide who wins? How do you know who wins? Who do you pick?" And it's a lot of tape studying. Even if somebody fights in 2 months again, I rewatch all their tape again because styles make fights. If someone's on a winning streak and someone's on a losing streak, that doesn't matter, right? Styles make fights. So if somebody I tape today and he fights on Saturday and he wins, and then in 2 weeks he fights again, I have to do their tape again because styles makes fights, and his style maybe doesn't match up as well as it did in his previous fight with the other guy, then it will in 2 weeks against the new guy, right? So styles, my entire channel, all of my predictions, is all about stylistically. It's not about records, it's not about age, it's none of that. It's all about stylistically who should win this fight, okay? Now, Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. It's the main event. It's honestly a pretty easy pick. Now, Gabriel Bonfim is 6-1 in his UFC career. He's been in the UFC for just above 3 years. It's been 3.5 years, and he has about 6 wins and one loss. Now, when you look at Bonfim, he's on a 4-fight win streak, and a lot of people look at this and they're like, "Oh my God, it's the new guy." He's versing Bilal Muhammad, who's 37. He's on a win streak. Bilal Muhammad's on a losing streak. Of course, he's going to win. That's not how it works. For example, look at my last three max bets. Aljamain Sterling to beat Bilal. Right? Everyone picked Yusuf Zalal because they're like, "Oh, Yusuf Zalal, he's younger. He's better. He's been getting a lot of finishes. He's on a win streak." While Aljo's older, slower, not on a winning streak. Aljo just beat Ortega. They do the MMA math and they're like, of course, Zalal's going to run through Aljo. But I sit down, I do the tape, and I'm like, no, stylistically, Aljo dominates. And that's exactly what happened. Carlos Pratas, it was a 50-50 fight. Odds wise, half the world was on JDM, half the world was on Carlos Pratas. But when I sat down and I did the tape, I was like, there's no way JDM wins. The low kicks, the knees, it's the easiest thing ever. Again, stylistically, because don't forget, I also picked Ian Gary to beat Carlos Pratas. I bet on Ian Gary to beat Carlos Pratas because stylistically at the time, Ian Gary would have would beat him. For example, Arnold Allen versus Melky Costa, same thing. Everyone said Melky Costa, back-to-back head kick knockouts. He's younger, stronger, he's fresher. He's knocking out everyone. He's on a 6 win streak or whatever it was, 6-5 win streak. Arnold Allen, he's old. He's barely fighting. He's losing. Bunch of excuses. And of course, stylistically, Arnold Allen had the perfect style. He's a southpaw. The kicks are not there. He's a pressure fighter. Milky Costa fails against pressure. Like these things add up. The styles matter, okay? For example, here, you look at Gabriel Bonfim's record and it's like, wow, he's won 6 times. But against who? He beat Randy Brown. Wow. Randy Brown, who is a 50-50 fighter. Some days he looks good, some days he looks bad. And if you look at the sequence that he beat Randy Brown with the knee, he grabs his head in a tie plum, in a clinch, in a tie plum. He grabs his head to knee him in the face. When somebody grabs you by the head, your first instincts are, oh my God, let me posture up and pull my neck out of there. Randy Brown put his head even lower, which made it even easier for Bonfim to knee. So as Bonfim was going to knee his head, he literally put his head down towards the knee. Again, if you're coming into a punch, so if someone's throwing a punch and your head's coming towards the punch, it's more impact, it's more force. It's going to have a higher likelihood to not only hurt you, but knock you out. Randy Brown went into the knee. He literally, when Bonfim grabbed his head to knee, he didn't even posture up to get out of it, to get out of the way. He went into the knee, which knocked him out. Then Wonder Boy, I watched that fight 5 times now. I watched it 3 times yesterday. Thompson won that fight. Round one, I think it was Bonfim, and then 2 and 3 must have been Thompson, or it was 1 and 3 that was Thompson. But regardless, I watched that fight 4 or 5 times now, and Thompson won. I even had Bonfim to win that fight. I had money on Bonfim, and when that fight was done, I was like, oh my God, did he win? Did he lose? I don't know, because it was a pretty close fight. But when I rewatched it, I think Thompson won easily. But again, that's a 42-year-old Thompson he fought. He had trouble with a 42-year-old Thompson. He couldn't wrestle Thompson. He couldn't grapple Thompson. He couldn't even strike with Thompson. He had trouble. He barely even won that fight against a 42-year-old Thompson. When you look at the fights against Chaos William, the entire time Chaos William was moving forward, Bonfim was just running backwards. He was on his bike. He was shuffling in and out of when every single time Chaos would come in to strike and Chaos would actually overthrow, he would of course circle out. And then of course the times that Chaos would throw above his hips, Bonfim would slip, go for the takedown, take him down, and of course, he got reversed. Chaos Williams reversed Bonfim. And of course, in the sequence in the second round, when Chaos William, he was on his back, and instead of, getting on his side, wrestling a single leg to get out of it, he gets on his side, he pauses for a second, he literally lets Bonfim slip in the darce, and he doesn't even try to fight the hands. By the time he tries to fight the hands, it's already locked in, and then he taps out. Right? But he had trouble with Chaos Williams. Like, he had to take him down multiple times to even try to get a submission. In his career, this is the first time he fought a wrestler. I wouldn't even call Angelusa a decent wrestler. I would call him more of a mid wrestler. But his entire game is all wrestling based. And Angelusa in the first round took him down and held him for 3 minutes, right? And then, of course, they're both, one's a grappler, one's a wrestler. So what ends up usually happening is they both just start striking, and that's what they end up doing. They both stop. They start striking. In the second round, they start slugging it out, boxing. They would both just sit in the pocket, throw hooks, they'd grab each other, start throwing uppercuts, hooks, because none of them are strikers either, right? So it became a dirty boxing match. And another thing you have to understand is in the Angelusa fight, about 3 minutes in, if you look at Gabriel Bonfim's demeanor, he looks gassed. His mouth was open. He was tired. The way he was throwing his punches, he was just throwing it for the sake of throwing. He didn't even try to like you could tell by his demeanor, he was tired. He was exhausted. He was gassed. And going into the third round, he was tired. However, when the third round started, he saw that Ange Lusa was also gassed. It's like when you're tired and you see your opponent even more tired than you, that gives you a second wind. That gives you confidence. Oh my God, he's tired. I could win this. Let me push through. But when you're tired and you see your opponent not tired, if anything, he's pushing the gas, putting pressure on you, and you're gassed and you're tired, that makes you even more tired because mentally you're like, what the hell do I do? Like, I can't beat him. I'm too tired. He's fresh. That makes you even more tired. So in the Angelusa fight, in the second round, he was tired. In the Stephen Thompson fight, in the second round, he was tired. However, in the Angelusa fight, if you saw him, go rewatch it. When Angelusa comes out in the third round, his demeanor, he was so tired. Those deep breaths. Gabriel Bonfim saw that, and then if you look at the performance in the second round compared to the third round, he got that second win. Now, in the Nicholas Dalby fight, this is perfect. In the Nicholas Dalby fight, he comes out strong. He's throwing hooks. He's very inexperienced, so he's just gassing himself early. He takes down Nicholas Dalby. He takes him down. He holds him on the ground. He tries to submit him, but he couldn't. Okay. Second round starts. He takes him down again. However, this time, Nicholas Dalby gets up. So now mentally, Bonfim is like, what the hell? I can't strike with this guy because he's a pressure fighter. I can't because don't forget, Gabriel Bonfim is not a striker. Gabriel Bonfim is not a wrestler. Gabriel Bonfim is a BJJ nerd, a BJJ nerd who practices striking. His striking is horrendous. Okay, and then in that fight, you gotta think like the fighter. Okay, I took down Nicholas Dalby twice. I tried to submit him one time. It didn't work. Now he's back on his feet. So it's like your entire game is take him down and submit him. It didn't work. Now all of a sudden this guy's right in front of me, pushing me against the cage, throwing punches, throwing knees. I can't take him down. He's not giving me a chance to breathe. At that point, like mentally you give up. Mentally, you could tell he gave up because he knew I can't strike with him, I can't grapple him, I can't submit him. There's still a round and a half left. That mentally, he knew that was happening. While you're in a fight, you know what's going on. And at that point, he basically gave up. And at that point, the pressure, Nicholas Dabi constantly moving forward, constantly moving his face, not giving him a chance to breathe, gassed him out. He gave up. He gave up. He laid on the floor. They called the fight. However, this is the thing. He comes into UFC, he beats Trey Waters. Wow, he submitted Trey Waters. Trey Waters basically gave him the Von Flue choke. If you get Von Flue choked, you should not be in the UFC. After that, he fights, I can't even pronounce his name, a guillotine. Wow, bravo, you guillotined him. Trevin Giles, he guillotined him. Let's look at Bilal Muhammad's style. What is Bilal Muhammad? He's a wrestler who just started boxing. Okay, Bilal Muhammad's a wrestler. Now, Bilal Muhammad, he was undefeated for about like 5 years, right? And then of course he fights JDM. He loses to JDM 3-2. He loses by 1 round. On a different day, he would have won that round. If they run it back 100 times, you would say Bilal Muhammad would have won a third round 30, 40 times, right? It was a 1 round swing. On another day, Bilal Muhammad would have beat JDM. It was that close of a fight. And of course, against Ian Gary, he loses all 3 rounds. Now, a lot of people will look at this and they'll be like, oh my God, he got outboxed by JDM. He couldn't take down JDM. Oh my God, he couldn't take down Ian Gary. He got outboxed. There's no way he beats Bonfim. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Gabriel Bonfim is the better grappler. BJJ, better grappler, yes. However, Bilal Muhammad is the better wrestler. Bilal Muhammad is the better striker. And Bilal Muhammad does have the pressure. Now, usually when it's wrestler versus grappler, when it's wrestler versus BJJ nerd, even if like the wrestler isn't as high level in BJJ, what ends up happening is the wrestler usually gets to the more dominant position first. If, for example, the wrestler gets taken down by a trip, because usually BJJ nerds, they don't usually go for takedowns. If they do, it doesn't work. They end up resorting to trips, body lock takedowns or trips, and the wrestler usually, as they're falling, they out scramble the grappler, or when they're on their back, they out scramble and get back up compared to the grappler, right? So whenever a wrestler is fighting a BJJ person, the wrestler always has advantage. Like Armin Sarikian did against Charles Oliveira, the wrestler always has advantage. Now in this fight, you could sit here and be like, oh my God, but Bonfim is 6'1", Bilal Muhammad is 5'11". That's 2 inches right there. The knees are going to be there for Bonfim. Bonfim's going to use his reach. He's taller, blah, 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 blah. That's not true. Just because someone is taller, just because someone has the reach, doesn't mean they know how to use their reach. Okay? For example, last week, Alex Perez versus Sumer Derji. Everyone said Sumer Derji has the reach. He has the height. What is Alex Perez going to do? And I bet on Alex Perez. Because stylistically from the tape, every single time Alex Perez would fight, he fights in close range, right? So if you have the reach on him, he's not going to stand at distance and strike with you. No, whether you're tall or whether you're short, he always closes the distance with his head movement, with his forward pressure, with this, like he throws hooks while he's moving forward to get you against the cage, and then he starts throwing, right? He closes that distance, so someone like Sumer Derji, who fights at distance with length, can't use his length. And that's what he did, and he won the first round on the judges' scorecard. Sure, he got dropped in the second round because he fought at rage in the first 10 seconds, but that's neither here nor there. So, in this fight, you have to understand, yes, Gabriel Bonfim has the reach by half an inch. Yes, Gabriel Bonfim is the taller fighter. However, Gabriel Bonfim does not fight as the taller fighter. He doesn't know how to fight as a taller fighter. He doesn't know how to use his length and his reach because he's not a striker. When you watch Gabriel Bonfim strike, he literally strikes flat-footed. He's not bouncing. When he throws his 1-2s, he doesn't even have a bladed stance. Sometimes he's literally standing like a square horizontally, I think. Yeah, horizontally. His feet are horizontal, flat-footed, and he's throwing a 1-2 with no head movement. Now, if you look at Bilal Muhammad's last fight against Ian Gary, I watched it 3 times, and I was impressed. I was very impressed because Ian Gary was literally stylistically one of the worst matchups for Bilal Muhammad because one, you can't take down Ian Gary, and if you do take him down, he's going to get back up, and two, Ian Gary's striking is perfect. The reason why it's perfect is because he fights with his distance, and when you close the distance on him, he not only uses his head movement to get out of it, but then he also circles out. So Ian Gary's striking is beautiful because he knows how to use it perfectly. If you watch the fight against Bilal Muhammad, Ian Gary used a Michael Morales technique. He was in a squat position with his hips out, just like Michael Morales versus Sean Brady. He had his hips out of reach, so Bilal Muhammad doesn't take him down in the center of the circle. And so he had his hips out, and he was literally striking over himself. He was using what? If you're fighting a boxer and a wrestler, if you're fighting a boxer, you guys have different distant range, right? A boxer fights in close range. A striker, fights in long distance with his kicks, his teeps, his jab. And that's what Ian was doing. Ian was using his length. He was using his jabs. He was using his low kicks. He was using his oblique kicks to keep Bilal Muhammad at bay. However, in the first round, you see in the first 2 minutes, Bilal Muhammad, he tried to close that distance. He would throw a double jab, overhand right, it would miss. He would fake the takedown, overhand right, he would miss. And every single time, he would push Ian Gary back, and then Ian Gary would circle. However, in the last 2 minutes of the first round, Bilal Muhammad, against someone who's 6'3", Bonfim is 6'1", Ian Gary is 6'3", against someone who's not only 6'3", Ian Gary, but also has 74.5 inches, even much longer of a reach than Bonfim. He was landing. He finally got his range. He was throwing a double jab overhand right, it would land. He would fake a takedown overhand, it would land. He would throw uppercuts, it would land. He would move forward, push Ian Gary back against the cage. As Ian Gary was circling out, he would catch him. He would even throw kicks and catch him. And that's what the entire fight was. Sure, he would lose because Ian Gary was spamming low kicks, spamming like Ian Gary knows how to fight on the back foot. So Ian Gary would step back, counter 1-2, circle, and then Bilal Muhammad would throw. But then as Bilal Muhammad's throwing, Ian Gary would counter. He would also catch one. Ian Gary's a very, very good striker. Ian Gary is able to strike moving backwards. So as he was moving backwards, he was throwing low kicks. He was, adding up the striking count, which was pretty good and beneficial. But then in round two, Bilal Muhammad started landing even more. Right? Bilal Muhammad got the range against someone who's 6'3". And he was landing on Ian Gary, somebody who has beautiful head movement. In that fight, Ian Gary was literally throwing a 1-2, slipping, another right hand, and he was landing. Ian Gary's striking in that fight looked beautiful, beautiful. And then round three, what happened? In round three, he had Ian Gary on the back for the entire time. I wouldn't say Ian Gary was gassed because he wasn't, but you could tell by his demeanor, he started to get tired because when you constantly have someone in your face and you're constantly backpedaling, you're constantly hopping, and you're constantly throwing strikes to keep him away, that gets you tired. And that, like, every single round, round one, round two, round three was all close. Could you believe it? Not only was Bilal Muhammad, like, before that fight, Bilal Muhammad, he said he was sick. He said he had vertigo or something, and it was so bad that he was contemplating on pulling out of the fight. Like, he was so sick that he was thinking about pulling out of the fight. And this is Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad is no joke. Like, he's no, I can't, it's on YouTube. I have to make sure I know what I'm saying. I can't say bad words. He's no slouch. He's no baby, right? If Bilal Muhammad could fight, he will fight. And he said, I had vertigo. And as I was praying on Friday, I actually fell over and he was contemplating pulling out. It was that bad. And yet he still fought Ian Gary. He also got eye poked 2 times and he still fought Ian Gary. Yeah, he lost, but in a fight where stylistically it's a nightmare and you were sick and you got eye poked 2 times, he did beautiful. Because another thing you have to understand is Bilal Muhammad landed, I think it was 57 strikes. In 3 rounds, Bilal Muhammad landed 53 or 57 significant strikes. However, in a 5-round fight, Carlos Pratas landed 65 strikes. So he landed just 10 less strikes than Carlos Pratas in 2 less rounds. Do you know how crazy that is? Carlos Pratas, the Muay Thai fighter who's been a Thai fighter for like 20 plus years. That's crazy. That's Bilal Muhammad striking, getting better, which is crazy because Bilal Muhammad striking has gotten better. I think Bilal Muhammad wins. I think stylistically, if Bilal Muhammad wants to win, all he has to do is pressure. Pressure, fake takedown strike. I wouldn't take down Bonfim in the middle of the cage because again, Bonfim is the better BJJ person, and you don't want to give him an advantage, right? Because the only way Bonfim wins this fight is by a random KO, right? He has to like have that perfect punch, knock out Bilal Muhammad, a random knee up the middle to knock out Bilal Muhammad, and even you know how many times Ian Gary threw so many knees up the middle against Bilal Muhammad moving backwards, and Bilal Muhammad would literally slip it and throw a hook. Even against JDM, somebody who loves knees up the middle, JDM landed one, and the ones that he didn't land, Bilal was slipping, right? So I think the only way that Bonfim wins this is by, Bilal Muhammad giving him a submission, by making a mistake, giving him a submission, or by a random fluke knockout. Because in this fight, all Bilal Muhammad has to do is pressure. Pressure, take him on the cage, take him down, hold him against the cage, box, just be in his face, right? Because again, Bonfim gets tired, right? Don't forget, Yusuf Zalal versus Aljamain Sterling. Everyone said Yusuf Zalal is going to win. And then when Yusuf Zalal lost, the first thing he said was, oh, guys, this was my first 5-round fight. I got tired. I'm going to use this as a learning experience. Like, everyone has the excuses ready. I don't care. We've seen Bonfim gas out. And even if you don't gas out, stylistically, when someone's always in your face like that, people, they're not fighters. You guys are not fighters, so you guys want to understand. Listen, if you're in a fight, right? And you're fighting your fight. For example, I throw a 1-2 in the middle of the cage. He throws a jab, a low kick, then I throw, then he throws, and we're both taking our times. You're not going to get tired. But if I'm a pressure fighter and I'm in your face and you're constantly moving backwards, you're moving backwards because you're scared. Oh shit, what is he going to do? Move backwards. You move backwards. Then you're forced to throw a jab to make distance. Then you move backwards again. You throw another jab. Then you hit the cage. Then you have to like circle out, and then of course he's back in your face again. So then you throw a 1-2, and as you're throwing a 1-2, you're like, what the hell? He's still in my face. Then he starts ripping out your body. That gasses you out. It literally gasses you out, and that's exactly why DC says pressure fighters make champions. They literally gas you out. Bilal Muhammad has the perfect style to be Bonfim. And I know some people are going to say, oh, but Bonfim has low kicks. Yeah, Bonfim has good low kicks, but Bilal Muhammad ate so many low kicks against the Ian Gary fight, and only one dropped him. And even the one that dropped him, it wasn't that it hurt him. It was perfectly timed. As he stepped down, he got low kicked, and it took him, it took his balance, it took his base out below him. Bonfim doesn't have that. Bonfim is not a striker to move backwards and throw low kicks, right? So I don't care about Bonfim striking in this fight. The only thing that I'm worried about is the knee up the middle and a random, like a random fluke knockout, just like how in any fight someone has the puncher's chance, and hopefully Bilal Muhammad doesn't give him a random guillotine submission. But then again, Bilal Muhammad, who's been grappling for his entire life, he knows not to give the guillotine, and he knows if you're in a guillotine to just step over and go to side control, whatever. All Bilal Muhammad has to do in this fight is pressure. As long as Bilal Muhammad pressures, push Bonfim to the cage, get back in his face, push him in the cage, throw, box, box, box. Bonfim's going to get tired. Bilal Muhammad's going to win, right? Because we all know Bilal Muhammad's going to win round 4, round 5. All Bilal Muhammad has to do is win round 1, 2, or 3. He literally won round 1 all against JDM on the scorecards. I think Bilal Muhammad wins this. I don't see how he loses outside of the fluke knockout or a random submission. So I mean, realistically, Bilal Muhammad should win by decision. However, if Bilal Muhammad wants to, I honestly think if he puts the pressure from round 1 to round, like from the beginning of the bell to the end of the fight, if he just puts on the pressure, I think Bilal Muhammad could get the knockout because Bonfim's gonna gas out. Because if you look at the Ian Gary fight, Bilal Muhammad, started to pick things up in round 3 because he got eye poked again, and then ever since he got eye poked, he was in Ian Gary's face because he was pissed. If he fights like that against Bonfim, he's gonna win, and he could even find a knockout. It's crazy to say Bilal Muhammad could get a knockout is crazy. I know, but I think that if he wants to and he pressures from the beginning of the bell, he would knock him out because he's gonna get tired. I was impressed. Bilal Muhammad won the first round. He literally on the scorecards, he beat JDM on the scorecards for round 1. Round 2, round 3, he makes some mistakes. Going to the later of the round of the fights, like his boxing looked good. He was beating JDM in boxing, which is absolutely crazy. Sure, he wasn't winning all the exchanges, but he ate so many strikes and he was still there. He was still landing. He like at one point you could even see like even JDM did not like the pressure, right? And that's JDM, who's the boxer was getting outboxed at certain sequences. What's going to happen to Gabriel Bonfim, who's just a BJJ nerd who is picking up striking, right? He beat Leon Edwards, right? The 2 rounds that he lost to Leon Edwards, it was because he got reversed, right? He went for back control, he went for the triangle, he got reversed. Again, I would advise Bilal Muhammad, if you take down Bonfim, don't go for his back, right? Bonfim is bigger, he would reverse you. So if Bonfim is Bilal Muhammad makes these breakdowns. Bilal Muhammad is smart. All Bilal Muhammad has to do is strike. If Bilal Muhammad strikes, he should easily win this fight. I don't know how he loses. So my pick is Bilal Muhammad by decision. I would also sprinkle knockout. Okay, Brendan Allen versus Edmund Shabazian. This is very simple. You have a grappler and Brendan Allen versus I wouldn't even say striker. I would say a one punch hitter, right? One punch or break it. Like Edmund Shabazian, he only has knockout power. Like when I watched his fights over the weekend and I looked at his striking is decent, but it's not one of those that's like where it's like if he doesn't get the first round knockout, he has good enough striking, technical enough striking, or smart enough striking to win the latter rounds, to win round 2, to win round 3. He's not one of those strikers. He's literally knockout or bust because he slows down, and as he slows down, you pick it up, you end up edging those rounds up. Someone like Edmund Sabazian, he's been in the UFC for a long time. I think it's been like 7, 8 years, and he hasn't been improving. You're gonna notice that majority of these UFC fighters, who they are, like even if they come at a young age, they're the same fighter throughout their career. Sure, they might improve a little bit, but they don't change completely as a fighter. They don't improve drastically. There are some cases of some fighters, drastically improving, and as they get old, 29, 30, 31, 32, some fighters do improve, but majority don't. Edmund Sabajian is just one of those fighters that don't improve. Edmund Sabajian, he has the one punch knockout. I agree. He could go in there and knock out Brandon Allen with one punch, but I could never bet on someone for one punch. The only person that I could bet on to go in there, lose rounds, and then find a knockout is Alex Perez, is Ilya Topuria. and that's really about it. Edmund Sabajian, if he doesn't get that early knockout, he's gonna lose, right? Like he's gonna lose. And this whole early knockout thing. This goes for any fighter. Any fighter could get caught early and lose, right? So I can't sit here and be like, oh my God, Edmund Serbajian is such good of a striker where he's gonna set up his knockout punch, he's gonna feint into his knockout punch. He doesn't do that. He goes in there, he starts swinging, he either gets it or he doesn't get it. And what I also don't like is in the fight against Andre Petroski, he was hesitant. He was very hesitant. For 15 minutes, he was hesitant. I didn't like that. And now when you look at his career, Edmund Sabajian, for the past 6 years, who has he been losing to? Literally wrestlers: Derek Brunson, Jack Hermanson. Imovov's not a wrestler, but I don't blame him for losing for Imovov. Imovov is really good. To be fair, 5 years ago, Imovov wasn't that good. Anthony Hernandez, Gerald Mishart. The fact that you drop him, you get into his guard, and you get choked out is crazy. And the fact that you fight Petroski, one of the most chiniest fighters, and you don't knock him out is crazy. Now, Brendan Allen. I'm not even a Brendan Allen fan, but he's really good. He's really good. Now, I think Brendan Allen is smart enough to know he's going to come into this fight and be like, okay, he has one punch, and that's it. As long as I avoid the punch for 5 minutes, I'm fine. Or I'm just going to take him, hump him on the cage, tire him out, take him down and submit him. Listen, in this fight, Brendan Allen, of course, Brendan Allen isn't the better striker, but he is by far the better grappler, by far the better wrestler. I do think Brendan Allen wins. I'm surprised it's minus 200. I honestly thought Brendan Allen would be minus 300, minus 350. Maybe because, if you look at Brendan Allen's recent fights, he hasn't got a submission win in about 2.5 years. Maybe that's why the odds are so close. Because when I saw this fight get announced, I thought Brendan Allen would be a minus 3, 4, 500. Because this should simply be a Brendan Allen takedown and submission. If Brandon Allen does not submit, I don't care if Brandon Allen wins at 30-27 by laying and praying. If Brandon Allen does not win via submission, just cut him. Cut him. Right? This is the same Brandon Allen that was on like what 8-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 fight win streak before running into Imavov. He even took down Imavov and won an entire round off of Imavov in a 3-round fight, which is impressive. And then he lost to Anthony Hernandez, which again he won a round against Anthony Hernandez in wrestling, which is very impressive. And then of course he comes in and wins a decision against Marvin Vittori, which I don't blame him. Marvin Vittori is very underrated grappling, very underrated wrestling. Couldn't submit him there, but still won. And then the fact that he beat RDR, he reverses RDR, he took down RDR. That was beautiful. Honestly, Brendan Allen via submission or via 30-27 pray, lay and pray, but he should get the submission here. I really think Brendan Allen wins. Minus 200 should be a gift, as long as he doesn't do something stupid. Like the fight starts, fight be at distance. Once Edmund starts committing, go for your takedown. Push him against the cage. Hold him against the cage. Take him down. Let him get back up. Take him down again. Tire out those arms. And then go for the submission. Brendan Allen is very underrated. I think he should win this fight easily. Next, Faraz Ziam versus Tom Nolan. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've watched Faraz Ziam's entire career, and at the beginning of his career, he's horrible. Like he was so trash. Faraz Ziam in his first 5 fights was horrible. I hated him. I couldn't stand him. I couldn't even watch his fights because they were so annoying, so low level. It boils me. However, in his more recent fights, i.e., Matt Favola, Mike Davis, Nazim Sarakov, he has been improving. Every single fight, he improved into the Matt Favola fight. He looked better. And then into the Mike Davis, he looked even better. And then into Nazim's fight, he looked even more better. And he's improving. Like he's 29, he's improving after every single fight. He's getting better and better, but his striking, his wrestling, just like his fight IQ is getting better. And I was shocked. What he did to Nazim was crazy. Honestly, going into that fight, I thought Nazim was going to win. I didn't put money on that fight because I knew that, Faraz Ziam is one of those wild cards that he wins fights that people don't think he's going to win. So I didn't bet on that fight, nor did I pick Nazim. But in the back of my head, I thought Nazim would win. And what he did to Nazim was absolutely crazy. My jaw was open and I was shocked. He bitched Nazim and it was crazy. It was crazy. And the fact that like in the clinch, in such a short distance, he was able to generate enough power with his bony elbow to put out Nazim. Beautiful. It was beautiful. I love how Faraz Ziam's grappling is getting better. I love how his wrestling is getting better. I love how his striking, his clinching is getting better. He looks good. Now he's on a 5 fight win streak. He's on a 6 fight win streak. I don't really like betting on people with win streaks because again, in the UFC, like win streaks don't last forever in the UFC. Like if you notice, like a lot of times win streaks always get ended. Like for example, Yusuf Zalal's got ended, Melky Costas got ended, JDM's got ended. Like all these win streaks always come to an end. Do I think Nazim's win streak gets ended here? No. Do I think minus 300 is justifiable? At first, when I saw the odds, I was like, man, minus 300 is like, that's too wide. However, when I went back and I watched Tom Nolan fights, he's also on a 4 fight win streak. When I went back and I watched Tom Nolan fights, I was like, oh, this is why he's minus 300. Listen, Tom Nolan, he's too wild. He throws too many spinning shit out of desperation. His striking is too wild. It's too wide. Like he's literally just swinging for the fences. He's swinging from his hips. He's throwing random hooks to the point where he's off of balance. He even slips. He's way too wide. He's not methodical. His wrestling isn't the best. He always gets a reverse. Even against Borshov, like he couldn't even hold down Borshov, who's notoriously horrible at the jits, and that was just completely embarrassing. The fact that like he goes for desperation takedowns, he goes for desperation spinning back fists, spinning kicks. Tom Nolan isn't, he's not tight enough, right? As a technical striker, you got to be tight. Your 1-2s, your hooks, everything has to be tight. Tom Nolan doesn't fight like that. I think Faraz Ziam does whatever he wants here. I think Faraz Ziam is the better striker, better wrestler, better grappler, better everything. I think Nazim could do whatever he wants here. I think the only way, Tom Nolan could win here is if Nazim makes a mistake and Tom Nolan just snatches a quick submission or something like that, right? But otherwise, I think minus 300 is justifiable here with Faraz Ziam. I think he's just a better, he's better everywhere. As long as he continues to improving, I think Faraz Ziam is better everywhere in this fight and he should cash easily. Bryce Mitchell versus Santiago Luna. Now, we just saw this fight happen twice over the weekend, and this is why it's either, for me, it's either Bryce Mitchell or pass. I know Bryce Mitchell is minus 130, minus 140, and usually it's dog or pass. For me, it's Bryce Mitchell or pass for this reason. We saw this happen over the weekend. We all knew at the back of our heads the Asian girl who fought Angela Hill, who came over from, I think it was Rising or 1FC, I think it was 1. We all knew that this could have been a veteran's test where she gets a veteran lesson. She comes into the UFC, she fights a veteran like Angela Hill and loses. And not only that, but Zhang Mingyang, who fought Alonzo Minifield, again, it was a veteran's lesson where you come in there and you get your ass kicked. We saw it happen twice last week, same thing here. Santiago Luna is 21 years old from Mexico, fighting Bryce Mitchell, who's 31. This could also be a veterans lesson, veterans fight. So I'm gonna maybe stay away. I'll probably parlay Bryce Mitchell, but what you have to understand is Santiago Luna, as much of a good striker as he looked in his past 2 fights against Quang Li, against Sampacho, or whatever his name is, Angel, because he dropped Angel like 2-3 times. He knocked out Quang Li. At the root of this, at Santiago Luna's heart, he's actually a grappler. He's a grappler who's learning striking. And hey, I'm not going to compare him to Bonfim, but Santiago Luna, he actually has good striking. Like you could tell his boxing is very clean, right? He's very tight. Santiago Luna striking the 1-2s, the hooks, the uppercuts. He's very tight. The in and out movement. He's actually thinking in there, right? As he's striking, he's thinking, he's feinting, he's setting things up. A lot of these strikers, a lot of these BJJ people who turn into strikers, they don't do that like Bonfim. Santiago Luna is a good striker. Now I wouldn't say. Because Santiago Luna did drop. Let me actually get his name real quick. Santiago Luna did actually drop Angel Pacheco, whatever. Luna did drop Angel a few times, and of course, then Luna did knock out Quang Li. But even the Quang Li knockout, it was really weird. It was like a small little hook that barely even looked hard, right? I guess it was just one of those punches where Quang Li just didn't see it coming, and then just it put him out. It wasn't really hard or anything, and even in the fights against Angel, like it didn't look like it were hard punches. Now against Bryce Mitchell, this could literally just be another veteran's test where it's too much too soon for Santiago Luna, and then of course the veteran outworks him. Now as we watching Bryce Mitchell fights, and man, like Bryce Mitchell just doesn't give up. Now, Bryce Mitchell isn't the best fighter. Like right now, Santiago Luna has a better striking. This is very simple. If you think Santiago Luna, because don't forget, Santiago Luna is a grappler, is a wrestler. He's a grappler at heart. If you think Santiago Luna could stuff the takedowns of Bryce Mitchell or get back up from the takedowns of Bryce Mitchell, then you bet Santiago Luna, because Santiago Luna has the better boxing. He has the better striking by far. Bryce Mitchell's striking is horrible. It's horrendous. It's garbage. It's literally trash. It's so bad. Like Bryce Mitchell has zero striking. Zero. And All he has is wrestling, but his wrestling is actually quite good. I was rewatching Bryce Mitchell's fights, and he just doesn't give up. Like if he goes for a takedown, he doesn't get it. He continues and he continues and he continues. What he did against Said Nurmagomedov, the fact that he got reversed and then he reversed the reversal, the fact that he was on not only in a guillotine, but he was on a mounted guillotine. Like Said was on a mounted guillotine on top, and he got out of it was crazy against Dan Ige. Dan Ige, like for the few minutes that they were on the feet, he busted open Bryce Mitchell so bad. And Dan Ige, he's not a knockout artist, but he does hit heavy, right? Dan Ige hits heavy, and with the few strikes that Dan Ige landed, he opened up Bryce Mitchell so bad to the point where they had to, get the doctor in to check out Bryce Mitchell, and he still didn't quit. He still went for the takedowns. His takedowns are relentless. Honestly, a healthy Bryce Mitchell with no cardio issues, I think he should just come in here, eat the shots of Luna, take him down, and hold him. He gets back up, take him down again. Here, I understand Santiago Luna has a better striking by far. Like his striking is by far good, but after seeing what happened last week, I would feel more of an idiot picking Luna, and then Bryce Mitchell just does a veterans test on him and wins, than picking Bryce Mitchell and then Luna just knocks him out. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's Bryce Mitchell a pass. So I pick Bryce Mitchell here. All right, so the people's main event, Iwo versus Junior Tafa. Now, this is very simple, okay? And people are getting this mixed up. I know a lot of people are hyped up by Iwo. I'm getting DMs, Iwo's max bet, Iwo's max bet. No, you're wrong. Same thing. People are forgetting. Iwo is not a striker. I understand he has 6 knockouts. I understand he has back to back to back round one knockouts in 90 seconds or less. I understand that. But that's actually to his detriment. Iwo should not strike. Iwo's not a striker. Iwo's a horrible striker. He's what he did to Osterlane. Okay, wow. Like he did. He literally threw an overhand right, steps forward, overhand left, step forward. Like it's honestly ill. He knocked him out. Wow. Okay. So did 7 other people. Against Ebo, he got knocked down twice, and Ebo is not even a good striker. But again, what did they do? Well, the fight between Ebo and Iwo, were they striking? No, they were standing and banging. That's not technical striking. They were literally just standing there and banging. It came down to who has the better chin. And not only that, but in the sequences of standing and banging, you literally saw Iwo pause, look at Ibo, and throw that right hand. Go watch that fight. The fight's not that long. In the sequences when Iwo and Ibo were fighting, you literally see Iwo thinking. While they're swinging and banging, swinging for the fences, Iwo stopped for a second, brought his eyes up, looked at Ibo, saw the opening, threw the right hand, and knocked him down and finished him. Now look, he's fighting Junior Tafa, and in this fight, like, if you're to tell me, hey, it's Iwo versus Junior Tafa, it's going to be a standing fight, on the feet only, no grappling, I would pick Junior Tafa. And I know Iwo punches hard, but on paper, who's the better striker, Junior Tafa or Iwo? Junior Tafa is the better striker. By far, he's the better striker. Now, the only way you could justify almost minus 400 on Iwo is if he takes him down. Now, in his last fight, in the post interview, Iwo said, he literally admitted, he's like, hey, listen, I'm a grappler at heart. I was sad I couldn't show you guys my grappling skills. I knocked him out too fast, but in the future, I would like to, I would like to show you guys my grappling skills. And then 2 months ago, he posted a video of just him training, Johanna Jędrzejczyk, his coaches all talking about him and stuff like that. And he literally said, like, even his coach said that we're tired of Iwo striking and we want to grapple. That's a plus. And then in today's interviews, in the fighter interviews on MMA Junkie, Iwo literally said, the game plan is, well, one of the 3 game plans is to take him down and show my grappling. Now, Iwo has some ground and pound finishes where he takes you down, gets on mount, and just, punches you till you give up. However, Junior Tafa isn't one to give up, right? Junior Tafa is one to, he would honestly rather get subbed than quit because, if someone TKOing you on the ground via ground and pound, that's basically you giving up. Junior Tafa won't give up. So in my eyes, I can't play Iwo here. I cannot play Iwo knockout. It's minus 150. I cannot play Iwo moneyline. The only thing that I will play is Iwo by sub. Iwo by sub plus 335, 335. I think round 1 sub is 500, 600. I'm going to play Iwo by sub here because in a striking match, I do favor Tafa, and I think it would be too close to even, again, for minus 400, for Iwo to be minus 400 and justify it, he has to go in there, take 0 damage, take down Tafa, and submit him. So I'm staying away from this fight. I think Iwo wins as long as he goes down and he takes him down. If Iwo stands and bangs, He's just giving Tafa what he wants because the only way Tafa wins or even has a chance to win is by standing and banging. But please don't forget, Tafa's a better striker. Tafa hits hard. Iwo needs to take this fight down. Don't get me wrong, if they start swinging, sure, Iwo could knock out Junior Tafa. But as someone that's going to be putting money on fights, I want Iwo to go in there, judo throw his ass down, grab a submission, armbar, Kimura, whatever these judokas like, win an easy fight, get a bonus, and go home. He said, listen, I'm going to take him for his word. He wants to go in there and show his grappling. I'm going to take Iwo by submission. I'm going to bet it. Iwo's my pick by submission. I know this fight is not on the main card, but I do want to talk about this. Now, I think a lot of people are low on Johannes and Brito, okay? And rightfully so. Okay, Johannes and Brito, honestly, after his last fight, it was disappointing, right? When Johannes and Brito fought Isaac Thompson, I had money. Johannes and Brito won. He was, one half of my max bet. He won us money, 10 units. But I don't know if we're low on Johannes and Brito or Isaac Thompson is that good. I know Isaac Thompson lost that fight, but man, did Isaac Thompson look good. His wrestling, his reversal, his takedowns, his striking. Isaac Thompson, I'm waiting for him to come back and fight in the UFC because I'm going to bet him. Isaac Thompson looks so goddamn good in that fight. We're betting on him. He's not a future fade, he's a future bet. Now, in Johanneson's career, he has been a little, susceptible to those takedowns, right? Like I remember, was it Johnson Pierce? Johnson Pierce took him down, held him down until he got the ninja choke. I don't blame him for Pat Sabatini. I know Johannes and Brito lost all 3 rounds against Pat Sabatini, but that fight I don't count because Pat Sabatini would do that to literally 99.9% of the division. Like all of Pat Sabatini's wins are literally just like that. No matter how good you are, he's gonna take you down and hold you there. Sooner or later, he's gonna end up losing. Pat Sabatini, future fade though. Johannes and Brito versus Passavatini, I don't blame him there. Against William Gomez, it was a close fight. I thought Brito won. Gomez won, whatever. He took down Gomez. Gomez took down him. In this fight against, Jordan Levitt, now, Jordan Levitt is a decent wrestler. I don't think he's the best grappler, right? Because if you watch his fights, I know he's in a 2-fight win streak. When he fought Chase Hooper, he was taking down Chase Hooper by will on the wrestling side. But then when things got to the grappling side of things, he was getting reversed and he got submitted. So like his own takedowns caused his own like himself to get submitted, which is crazy. Because for someone to be so confident to go in there and take someone down, you shouldn't get submitted by them, right? And then same thing happened against Paddy Pimblett. Like he was taking down Paddy Pimblett would get back up. He would take down Paddy Pimblett, hold him against the cage, and then of course Paddy Pimblett reversed him, took his back, choked him out. In this fight, I understand Brito is a little weak to the takedowns, but I don't think he's that bad. Like I understand people have taken down Johannes and Brito, but he doesn't give up. He gets back up, he takes you down. He has good enough wrestling. I don't think Jordan Lever is this crazy. I know he's decent at wrestling, but I don't think he's this crazy wrestling guy where it's like, oh my god, you have to play, because I always love to play grapplers versus strikers because the grappler always has the advantage, right? They take him down, they lay in prey. Again, I'm not here to bet on who I like. I'm always gonna bet on who I think wins. I want to make money, and majority of the time, the grappler does beat the striker. But honestly, Brito's not even a striker. Brito's an MMA fighter. Like he's well rounded. In this fight, I do think Jordan's gonna get a few takedowns. But I won't be surprised if Brito stuffs them and submits Jordan. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another ninja choke. I won't be surprised if Jordan puts his head in a guillotine and he gets guillotined. I won't be surprised if Johannes and Brito reverses Jordan and then knocks his ass out. I think Brito's the better fighter. I think Brito has good enough wrestling to reverse or stop Jordan. I think he has better grappling, pure jiu-jitsu than Jordan. And of course, Brito has the power and he has the striking. I'm not gonna bet on Jordan here. Like the fact that I understand that he beat Yadir in his last fight. Clearly, Yadir's just a BJJ nerd with zero wrestling. But man, Jordan is so scared. Like the way Jordan fights, like he does not want to strike for even a second. And a 15-minute fight with Johannes and Brito, he's crazy. You're gonna strike with him, man. I think Jordan Levitt gets finished here easily. Anyways, I don't have enough time. I would usually do a full card pick. I'll do a full card starting from next week. I'll do a full card picks and predictions. But for this week, guys, come on! Like I'm not gonna do a video on Chavez versus Dubin. I mean, Chavez should win, but it's such a low level fight. She should not be minus 400. Souza, like, why are these girls such big favorite? Minus 300, sure she should win, but minus 300 is absolutely crazy. Or seriously, just get a coin and just flip it. Chandler versus Priscilla. I'll post my picks on Twitter, but I'm not gonna make videos. Oh, Bruno Silva versus oh, let's talk about this real quick. I think Bruno Silva wins. Edgar Charaz, he almost like I had Edgar Charaz in his last fight against Buenas, whatever, Buniz. And I honestly thought like, oh my god, this fight's so close. Did I even win? Right? Like it was that close. And the fact that Bruno Silva looked so good in the apex against Charles Johnson in his last fight, I think he wins. The way Bruno fights, he's very tight. His boxing is very tight. Now, yes, you could say you'd be like, oh my god, but Edgar Shars is so much taller and he has the length and the reach. But again, just because someone is taller, has a length, has a reach, doesn't mean they know how to use it. Edgar Shars in his last fight, he wasn't using his jabs to the fullest of his ability. He wasn't using the low kick. He wasn't fighting at distance, right? Like Ian Gary. Ian Gary is a perfect example of someone who uses his attributes. Sharas doesn't. So the fact that you don't and you like to fight on the back foot, that's just gonna let Bruno Silva march forward, throws his 1-2s, throws his hooks, throws his uppercuts, and in a fist fight, I'm taking Bruno Silva all day, every day. So minus 135, I'm taking that. I think Bruno Silva wins. I'll post the rest of my picks on Twitter, but for my first video, it's all good, baby.